The alien ship drifted silently above the blue-green sphere, its sensors flickering with confusion. To the observers aboard, the planet was a contradiction. Earth's classification as a Class 13 death world was beyond dispute. Its violent tectonic shifts, raging storms, hostile fauna, and sheer unpredictability were unlike anything they'd ever catalogued. Yet, the inhabitants not only survived but thrived. Lashik, the mission's lead analyst, stared at the feed with a mixture of awe and unease. The visuals were undeniable. Humans, fragile and soft-skinned by galactic standards, wandered unprotected across barren deserts, ascended icy peaks, and delved into oceans teeming with predators. Some of the creatures they lived among would have decimated entire planetary populations elsewhere. Here humans seemed to either tame them or make them into meals. Lashik's claws twitched involuntarily. "This cannot be accurate," one of the technicians muttered, his crest trembling. "Surely the data must be flawed." Lashik knew better. The sensors didn't lie, and neither did the centuries-old records they had pulled from their archives. Humanity had evolved in the crucible of chaos, molded by violence and hardship. The evidence was damning. Natural disasters that wiped out millions, wars fought with primitive but effective weapons, diseases that would have extinguished most species, all endured and overcome. Earth's history was a testament to its inhabitants' resilience, though the Alien Council had long dismissed it as irrelevant noise. "Transmit our findings to the Council," Lashik ordered, his voice betraying the unease he felt. "And keep scanning. I want to know how they've managed this." The ship's sensors delved deeper, peeling back the layers of human civilization. What they found only deepened the crew's anxiety. Cities sprawled across volatile fault lines, towering into the skies despite the ever-present threat of collapse. Humans had not merely adapted to their planet's hazards, they seemed to challenge them, defying logic and reason. They extracted resources from the most inhospitable regions, turned deserts into farmland, and had even begun venturing beyond their atmosphere to colonize their moon and nearby planets. "Lead analyst," one of the technicians called out, her voice quivering. "The humans are broadcasting something. It appears recreational." The feed displayed a bizarre spectacle. Humans were engaging in activities that seemed entirely pointless, hurtling themselves down snowy mountains, plunging into rapids for amusement, and leaping from great heights with only thin fabric to slow their descent. What should have been terrifying survival situations were instead treated as sport. The alien crew watched in stunned silence, their collective anxiety mounting. Lashik leaned closer to the screen, his spines flattening against his skull. "They've normalized danger," he whispered, the realization striking him like a physical blow. "It's not just survival. They enjoy it." The Council would demand answers, but Lashik had none. How could such a species exist? More troublingly, how could they be so unbothered by their circumstances? His claws drummed nervously against the console as he considered the implications. If humans could thrive in conditions most species would flee, what else were they capable of? The ship's proximity alarm suddenly blared, pulling Lashik from his thoughts. A satellite had locked onto them, its trajectory shifting unnervingly. "Impossible," one of the crew shouted. "Their technology shouldn't detect us." As the screen displayed the human-made object closing in, Lashik felt an unfamiliar chill run through him. The humans weren't just surviving, they were watching. The chamber of the Galactic Council was silent as Lashik's report played across the central holographic display. Images of humans thriving on Earth's volatile surface were interspersed with data, survival statistics, evolutionary benchmarks, and the baffling resilience of a species that had no right to exist under such conditions. The Council members, representing dozens of star systems, shifted uneasily in their seats, their bioluminescent markings dimming in collective unease. "They are a statistical anomaly," Lashik concluded, his voice steady despite the weight of the revelation. "Their existence defies every predictive model we possess." The Council's leader, an elder of the Rylith species with centuries of experience, narrowed his luminous eyes. "You suggest they have weaponized survival? That they are a threat?" "I suggest," Lashik replied carefully, "that their potential is incalculable. They thrive where others perish. They adapt to what we cannot. If they were to expand beyond their homeworld," he let the implication hang in the air. The silence that followed was deafening. In the minds of the Council members, scenarios were already forming. Human fleets navigating hostile star systems with ease, turning barren planets into strongholds, and surviving attacks that would obliterate any other species. The implications were clear. One delegate, a serpentine being from a cold-water world, hissed in disdain. "We should not overestimate primitives. Their technology is centuries behind ours. And yet, Lashik countered, their satellite detected our cloaked ship. They outmaneuvered technology we thought infallible. Would you call that primitive? The delegate fell silent, his luminescent crest dimming. Around the chamber, the unease deepened. Earth's technological achievements might not rival the galactic standard, but the human's knack for using every resource to its fullest potential was unmistakable. It was a different kind of intelligence, one that the council hadn't accounted for. Another delegate leaned forward, her chitinous plating clicking as she spoke. Their history is one of conflict and endurance. Perhaps this is the source of their strength. Hardship breeds innovation, does it not? Lashik inclined his head. Precisely. They have survived extinction-level events, self-inflicted wars, and natural disasters. What we consider catastrophic, they treat as commonplace. The elder leader's voice cut through the murmur of agreement. This resilience, does it make them conquerors or merely survivors? That remains unclear, Lashik admitted. But their capacity for growth cannot be ignored. If their past is any indication, they will not remain confined to their world for long. The room erupted into fragmented debate. Some argued for immediate action, a preemptive strike to neutralize the threat before it grew. Others warned against underestimating humans, fearing that aggression might only hasten their development. As the arguments swirled, a faint notification lit up Lashik's communicator. Data from the Earth observation probe was still streaming in. He accessed it discreetly, his eyes widening at the latest findings. Humans weren't just enduring Earth's hazards. They were beginning to manipulate them. Volcanoes harnessed for energy. Storms redirected by technology. Even the shifting tectonic plates were studied for potential applications. They weren't merely surviving, they were mastering their death world. A single, chilling thought surfaced in Lashik's mind as he listened to the council's clamor. Humanity wasn't dangerous because they lived on a death world. They were dangerous because they had learned to control it. The alien delegation descended to Earth under the guise of peaceful observation, their sleek craft cloaked in shimmering distortion fields. Orbiting the death world had been unnerving enough, but stepping foot on its surface amplified their unease. The air, heavy with oxygen, buzzed with an energy they could scarcely define. It was alive, dangerously so. Their landing site was a human research station in a region of perpetual cold. Snow stretched endlessly in every direction, glinting under a pale sun. The delegation expected to find primitive accommodations, perhaps rudimentary tools for basic survival. Instead, they were greeted by towering structures of reinforced alloy, geothermal conduits humming faintly beneath the ice, and drones zipping overhead in calculated precision. The humans had carved a fortress out of frost. A small group of humans approached, their breath misting in the frigid air. They showed no signs of discomfort, their movements deliberate and confident. The delegation's leader, a tall figure with translucent skin that shimmered under Earth's harsh sunlight, stepped forward to initiate the ritual greeting. The humans, ever direct, skipped pleasantries. "Welcome to Station Polaris," one said, his voice deep and calm. "I'm Dr. Elena Carter, project lead. You must be our visitors from beyond." The delegation exchanged uneasy glances. The humans had detected them days before any formal communication. Their pretense of surprise was thinly veiled. "We come in peace," the alien leader began, his voice melodic and carefully measured. "To learn and to share knowledge." Dr. Carter smiled, a gesture that unnerved the delegation more than it reassured them. "Of course, we're always eager to exchange ideas." Her gaze lingered for a moment on the alien craft, her expression unreadable. "Please come inside. It's warmer." The station's interior was a marvel of efficiency, every space utilized with purpose. The delegation noted the advanced equipment, machines humming with power, displays flickering with incomprehensible data. It was a far cry from the primitive conditions they had imagined. The humans moved with an easy confidence, their chatter filled with technical jargon that the delegation's translators struggled to keep up with. A holographic display dominated the central chamber, projecting a rotating image of a distant exoplanet. Dr. Carter gestured to it casually. "Our next target for colonization," she explained. "Hostile atmosphere, extreme temperatures, but nothing we can't handle." The alien leader hesitated, his composure faltering. "You intend to inhabit such a place?" "It is uninhabitable by most known standards." She raised an eyebrow as though the statement was obvious. "Adapting to the impossible is what we do." The delegation's unease deepened. The humans weren't boasting, they were simply stating facts. Their casual dismissal of danger was unsettling. These were beings who saw catastrophe as an invitation to innovate. As the tour continued, the delegation's sensors picked up subtle cues. The humans were studying them. Every question, every gesture, every moment of hesitation was catalogued and analyzed. It became clear that the humans viewed the visitors as much as a subject of curiosity as vice versa. By the time they returned to their ship, the delegation was silent, their thoughts heavy with the implications. Humanity wasn't just surviving on their death world, they were preparing for something far greater. The alien vessel slid into orbit around one of humanity's newest colonies, its cloaking systems humming faintly as it masked their presence. Below, a barren, crimson-hued wasteland stretched endlessly, the planet's surface scarred by violent sandstorms and riddled with jagged canyons. It was an environment no rational species would willingly choose to inhabit. Yet, there it was, an unmistakable human settlement thriving against all logic. Massive domes dotted the landscape, their exteriors battered by relentless winds but standing firm. Inside, the alien sensors detected vibrant ecosystems, hydroponic farms, power grids fueled by geothermal energy, and bustling human activity. What was supposed to be an uninhabitable nightmare had been transformed into a beacon of innovation. A smaller craft detached from the main ship, descending cautiously toward the colony. The mission was simple: gather intelligence without detection. The team of infiltrators, highly trained and equipped with the most advanced cloaking technology in the galaxy, touched down just outside the settlement. As they activated their stealth suits, rendering them invisible to human eyes, they marveled at the audacity of these creatures. This planet, by all accounts, should have been a death sentence. For humans, it was simply another challenge. Moving through the settlement's outskirts, the aliens encountered strange structures bristling with antennas and rotating arrays. Machines burrowed deep into the ground, extracting resources from the unforgiving terrain with precision and efficiency. Everywhere they looked, they saw evidence of human ingenuity. The settlement wasn't merely surviving, it was thriving, expanding, and innovating at an alarming pace. The infiltrators slipped into one of the domes, their sensors immediately overwhelmed by the sheer density of life. Plants grew in tiered arrangements under artificial lights, their roots suspended in nutrient-rich water. Humans moved among them, monitoring growth rates and adjusting environmental controls. Their expressions were calm, focused. No hint of desperation or discomfort marked their features. This was not a population clinging to existence, it was one building a future. Deeper into the facility, the aliens stumbled upon a chamber filled with holographic displays. Images of other planets and moons flickered across the walls, each marked with detailed annotations. Humans were already planning their next colonization efforts, targeting worlds even more hostile than this one. The infiltrators exchanged uneasy glances. These creatures were relentless, their ambition limitless. A sudden noise froze the team in place. One of the humans had stopped near their position, a device in her hand emitting a faint pulse. She frowned, tapping the screen as though puzzled by an anomaly. The aliens remained perfectly still, their cloaking technology flawless. Yet, the human lingered, her gaze sweeping the area with unsettling precision. Then, without warning, she spoke into a small communicator. "We have a disturbance near Dome 4. Unidentified energy signatures." The aliens retreated quickly, their movements silent but urgent. They barely made it back to their craft, their cloaking systems straining under the humans' unexpected detection capabilities. As they ascended back to orbit, the implications became clear. Humans weren't just surviving the impossible, they were watching, adapting, and learning from everything around them. In their silent retreat, one thought dominated their collective mind: humanity wasn't a species to be underestimated. The Galactic Assembly's hall buzzed with anxious murmurs, the usual calm replaced by a palpable tension. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the chamber, their voices overlapping in heated debate. The latest report on humanity's activities had been leaked, and its contents had thrown the assembly into disarray. Humans, a species they had once dismissed as insignificant, were now the subject of fear and speculation. "They are expanding too quickly," an avian delegate squawked, her feathers bristling with agitation. "Their colonies defy environmental logic. What species survives, thrives under such conditions?" A reptilian ambassador, his scales darkened with stress, hissed his agreement. "Their resilience is not natural. Perhaps they were engineered, a weapon left unchecked." At the center of the assembly, the elder presiding over the chaos tapped his staff for silence. The sound echoed sharply, quelling the cacophony. His voice, deep and resonant, carried the weight of countless cycles of leadership. Let us not descend into baseless conjecture. The facts are sufficient cause for concern. He gestured, and a massive hologram shimmered into existence, displaying Earth and its colonies. One by one, each settlement was highlighted, annotated with data about its harsh conditions and the humans' inexplicable success. The assembly members watched in silence as the visuals shifted, showing humanity's technological advancements. Their spacecraft were smaller and less refined than the galactic norm, but their efficiency was undeniable. Every resource was maximized, every system optimized for adaptability. What concerns us most, the elder continued, is not their expansion but their methodology. Humans do not conquer through brute force. They adapt. They learn. They turn the inhospitable into the indispensable. A low hum of unease rippled through the chamber. This approach, so different from the rigid strategies of other species, was difficult to counter. Where others sought to dominate, humans sought to integrate, to reshape the world around them into something viable. It was a strategy that defied the conventional methods of defense. The tension reached its breaking point when a transmission interrupted the meeting. A shaky feed appeared, transmitted from a distant frontier system. A representative from a minor faction, her eyes wide with fear, spoke in hurried tones. Our outpost, attacked. We thought it was secure, unassailable. But they came. The humans. They dismantled our defenses in hours. The assembly erupted into chaos. Questions and accusations flew, echoing off the chamber's domed ceiling. Representatives from allied species demanded retaliation, while others called for diplomacy. Amid the uproar, a single figure rose, Lashik, now the de facto expert on human behavior. This was not an attack, he said firmly, his voice cutting through the noise. The humans responded to a provocation. Their outpost was struck first. The elder turned to him, his expression grave. And their response? Lashik hesitated, the memory of the footage fresh in his mind. Precise. Overwhelming. They neutralized the threat without unnecessary destruction. But their message was clear. They will not be threatened. The assembly fell silent, the weight of Lashik's words settling over them like a shroud. For the first time, the galaxy understood the depth of their predicament. Humanity was not merely a rising power. They were an unstoppable force with a moral compass sharper than their weapons. The stars above Earth burned with an almost imperceptible stillness, their ancient light a silent witness to the gathering of vessels in orbit. Ships from the Galactic Assembly, representing dozens of civilizations, hovered near the blue-green planet. They were not an armada prepared for battle, but neither were they here simply to observe. The collective will of the galaxy had resolved to confront humanity directly, their intention clear, to determine whether these rising Deathworlders were friend or foe. In the lead ship of the Assembly's delegation, Lashik prepared himself for the most critical moment of his career. The humans had responded to the Assembly's summons with unsettling efficiency, their fleet arriving almost before the message had fully disseminated. Their ships were not the largest or most imposing in design, but there was a quiet precision to their formation that exuded confidence. The humans were here not as petitioners but as equals. Aboard the human flagship, a sleek vessel bristling with subtle technological refinements, the representatives waited. Leading their delegation was Admiral Elena Carter, the same scientist who had unnerved Lashik during his visit to Earth. She sat at the head of the table in the ship's pristine conference chamber, her uniform crisp, her demeanor calm. The room was quiet but charged, every participant acutely aware of the stakes. When the Assembly's holographic delegation flickered into view, Carter rose. "Welcome to the Aegis," she began, her tone firm but cordial. "We understand you have questions. Let's get to it." The elder of the Assembly, his translucent form shimmering faintly, spoke first. "Humanity's rapid expansion and remarkable adaptability have raised concerns. Your colonies thrive where others falter. Your responses to provocation are decisive. We seek to understand your intentions." Carter's expression remained composed. "Our intentions are survival and growth, nothing more. We expand because we must. The galaxy is vast, its resources plentiful. We take only what we need and we do not strike unless struck first." Lashik, standing slightly behind the elder, spoke cautiously. "And yet, your methods suggest a relentless drive. You reshape the uninhabitable. You turn calamity into opportunity. To many this appears unnatural." She regarded him steadily. "To us it's instinct. Earth shaped us to endure, to innovate, to overcome. If that seems unnatural, it's only because you haven't faced what we have." The elder's gaze softened, his luminous eyes narrowing thoughtfully. And should the galaxy challenge you further? Should conflict arise? Her answer came without hesitation. Then we will respond as we always have. Decisively but not recklessly. We prefer peace, but we will not hesitate to defend what we've built. Silence followed, heavy with consideration. The Assembly's representatives exchanged uncertain glances, the weight of her words settling over them. They had expected arrogance or defiance, not this measured confidence. Humanity's strength lay not just in their resilience but in their ability to wield it with purpose. The elder inclined his head. The Assembly will deliberate further. But for now, humanity has proven its place among the stars. As the holograms faded, Carter allowed herself a brief smile. Outside, the human fleet drifted in silent formation, their presence a quiet declaration. Humanity had survived their death world and now they were ready to thrive in the galaxy. There was no need for conquest. Their existence alone was their greatest statement. The Assembly departed, leaving Earth's orbit quiet once more. In the vastness of space, a new chapter was beginning, not one of war but of recognition. Humanity was here to stay.